is Monday, March the 9th. There is 5 games in the NHL tonight for us to get into. Before we get into that, like always, please click the subscribe button below. That way you don't miss any of the content we produce for any of the sports that we've got going on currently. NHL, NBA, NASCAR, PGA, MLB is about to kick off. There's a ton of season-long MLB mock draft information up for your season-long leagues to look at right now. Just click the MLB option on our drop-down menu. In the drop-down, it's under strategy, and there are mock drafts 1 through 20 done by yours truly, Detroit BC. But we're here for NHL. One last thing I'll throw out there as a promo. You'll see at the bottom of the screen there. Use promo code MLB50. Take 50% off your first month at dfscheatsheet.com. That's on an all-access VIP membership, regularly $59.99. It's Monday. We've got NHL, a better NHL slate than we do in the NBA. I just mentioned to you before we hopped on, I've got more interested in NHL lineups tonight than I do in NBA. So what is up, man? Did you have a good weekend?
I did, yeah. The Special Olympics basketball team, we had a tournament. We finished well. Guys had fun. It was a great time. Today, it is Monday, but it's 60 degrees and sunny outside of Detroit, so I'll take that any day, actually any day of the month and year when it's March. So I'm ready to go. Like you said, I'm not big into NBA like you guys are. I have dabbled in it, actually more than dabbled in it, last year. But this year, my one and true love is NHL DFS. So 5 games, ready to go.
My question to you is, in about 25, 24, I guess we're like, 18 days away from baseball?
It is, yeah, exactly, 18 days.
So in 18 days, is your true love going to continue to be the NHL, or is it going to be MLB?
Good question. I'm not going to tell you what you want. I'm not trying to tell anybody what they want to hear, but I love the NHL. I'm going to see it out. That's what I do. Although NHL DFS and seasonal dynasty baseball. Seasonal dynasty baseball is probably number 1 for me, and then NHL DFS is so 1 and 1A. But I'm big into MLB DFS. Can't wait to start getting into that and providing some content here for you and everybody else who reads it. But as it stands now, I'm still running with NHL.
One of my favorite things about NHL is it's a lot like MLB. So let's talk about tonight. Washington's at Buffalo. That's where we'll start it off. Washington minus 160, a 6.5 over under here. Which side, if not both sides, are you liking here tonight?
Well, in this one, I know after I looked into it, the Capitals love playing in Buffalo. They've beat Buffalo 8 of the last 10 times they've met. And Buffalo just can't get it together. I know I've told you guys they've been horrible on the road, but they haven't been so good at home either. I think Washington has their way with them tonight, 4-2, 5-3 final. But I do also, aside from Washington 1 and Washington 2, I think this is the game of the night that if you're going to do a game stack, as you've brought up a few times. I do like Buffalo 1-2. Again, not some big, profound statement. Well, it's Buffalo 1, right? Eichel, Skinner, and Reinhart. But I think it's one of those classic cases of Buffalo 1 is going to have to keep pace with the Capitals. So I don't mind. If I had to choose a side, it would be Washington 2 stacked with Buffalo 1 tonight.
That answers that. We'll move right on.
Yeah.
Arizona at Winnipeg. Winnipeg minus 130. This is a 5.5 over under. And which side of this do you like?
I love Winnipeg tonight. I'm all in on Winnipeg too. Ehlers, Cody Eakin, and Patrick Lalane. Coyotes come to town. Like you just repeating what you said. The over under sits at 5.5 goals. And to be fair, I don't think that it goes over tonight. I think tonight is more of a tight, physical game with these two teams. And so I like the under, meaning I wouldn't get too wild with stacks in this one, but out of all of them, I think Winnipeg 2 is your best bet for points, a goal or two in this one.
And then we've got Florida at St. Louis. St. Louis has been a team we've liked. This is a 5.5 over under, and this is a closer spread. It's one of the closer spreads on the slate. It's very close to just being even money here with St. Louis. I'm sorry, with Florida minus 100.
And I'm gonna get knocked if I get this wrong, but regardless of that, I can't base my my writing and my opinions based on if I'm going to catch heat for it. I just got to follow my gut and my research. And I think Florida wins tonight in St. Louis. I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but Florida is rested, they're desperate, and they're on the road. And to me, that equals dangerous. I know the Blues. They've been hot. And they're the better team overall. And hate to sound like a jerk. I mean, I never care who wins. We just want points. But for the sake of my stacking tonight, I'm going Florida too. Huberdeau, Eric Hula, and Hoffman. All three guys are on the second line. Huberdeau and Hoffman are on the first power play unit, while Eric Haulua is that how you say it? Like he's Hawaiian, plays on the second power play unit.
Like he's Hawaiian. And then I also noticed that you like Sammy. Is it Bloss or Blaze?
Blaze, yeah, he's St. Louis. He's a one-off for me. He plays on their first line, and he's only $3,300 on FanDuel, and he's even cheaper on DraftKings at $2,500. So, me and my love for mixing and matches. I don't have a problem with getting Sammy in there tonight.
Yeah, and he's got a minutes increase over the last 4 games. He's had at least 6 shots on goal in his last 3 games, or 6 shots on goal total over his last 3 games. So that I love when you have these guys that are minimum value, $3,300, $3,500, $3,800. We've had some success with those picks in the past, so I like to see those guys in there because they're really under the radar plays that nobody else is typically on.
And I don't want people to think I'm just picking these names out of a hat. What I do is I look at the minutes and the shots on goal, and then I lean on you in the video to then give me those shots and the minutes per game. I just do the heavy lifting. You give me the stats, and we go from there. So Sammy, he's a good play tonight. If he gets a goal, I'm sure you'll hear about it tomorrow, or even on Twitter or our Discord chat this evening.
All you got to do is hop into Discord when somebody like Sammy scores, and people go crazy because he'll be like a 1% guy, and it'll be awesome. Moving right along, this team seems to be like my favorite team. I get a smile every time I'm going to say it. I don't know if that's because I'm like having withdrawals because it's been so long since I've been to Vegas, or if I just really like this team. But they're an exciting team. So Vegas is at Edmonton. Edmonton is the favorite here, minus 125. And this has a 6 over under. Are you on the Vegas side, or do you like Edmonton here?
I'm not on the Vegas side tonight. I do like your boy, who's just, let's call it our boy, Riley Smith. I mentioned him in my one-off portion. But as a team stack, I like Edmonton 1 tonight. You know who you're getting: Connor McGregor, Nuge Hopkins, and Zach Kazayan. All 3 guys on the first line. The Nuge and McDavid are playing on the first power play unit. Just prior to this video, I was just going over some material and some lineups, and I noticed that Connor has he's got a red little flag by his name. So once we get off this video, or maybe you can even check while I'm talking, I don't know what the issue is. I didn't think there was a problem of him not skating tonight, not playing tonight. If he's playing, I want him. I want all 3 men in that line. And the old adage where you get Connor in there, he makes the other 2 guys in that line better because he's well above a point per game performer. So I know, excuse me, you said it. I'll say it again. Vegas is rolling right now. They're in Edmonton this evening. The Oilers continue to play good hockey, and Vegas is on the second game of a back-to-back tonight. We know how we feel about that. So that doesn't worry me much, and I still believe Edmonton outskates them tonight. Can't go wrong with a few one-offs from either team tonight. And and the video's over and you get to the article Hot Puck, scroll down, you'll see I listed one-offs for both defensemen tonight and offensive skaters tonight. That's going to be a regular thing after some good feedback over the weekend.
So just to quickly touch on that, we're talking about Connor McDavid, correct?
Yes.
So their head coach, Dave Tippett, this is a big game. First of all, it's a big game for Edmonton and Vegas. It's a big game. It's a big game on the slate. It's a big game for hockey purposes. And in big games, people who have illnesses tend to play. And that's what he's dealing with. He's just dealing with an illness. Dave Tippett fully expects him to be on the ice tonight. Looking for his status will probably update as we get closer. So the only bad thing about this is with the late swap, You're not going to have a chance to swap him out on FanDuel. But this is an opportunity, and I talk about this in any sport. Anytime, the one benefit to not having the late swap feature, especially with the NBA and with NHL, is that if there's a day-to-day or game-time decision that's designated on a player, that player is going to be lower owned unless that game unless that game starts right around lock and we get news leading up to lock that they're going to play. In this case, this is 2 hours after lineups lock. We probably won't get news until about 30 minutes before the game, and nobody's going to play this guy because of that. Nobody wants to get burned. It's recency bias. We talk about all the time. People don't want to get burned throwing people in their lineups that don't end up playing and returning a zero. So this is an opportunity to get a player in a good spot in a good game who will probably be low owned because we won't have news until like 30 minutes before lock.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, it's a good move.
Colorado's at Los Angeles. This game has a 5.5 over/under. Colorado, to me, feels like a team that's been stubbing their toe. Do you think that that's just they've played a lot of games in a short amount of time recently? What you expecting a rebound here? What are you thinking in this one?
I'm thinking the Kings first line tonight. Kopitar, Aflalo, and Dustin Brown, all three guys on the first line, all three guys on the first power play unit. Colorado's on the second leg of a back-to-back. And I know that Colorado's been consistent, but the Kings, probably nobody knows this, the Kings have won 5 straight games, and they've won 7 of their last 10 versus Colorado recently. And as the days and the weeks have progressed and we've done these videos and we've talked about our content, correct me if I'm wrong, but some these teams haven't been doing well in California. San Jose, Anaheim, I think Pittsburgh was stifled a couple weeks ago, and San Jose, if that was the game. I love the Kings. I love the Kings tonight. It's a small slate. People, again, they're the casual DFS player. They see Colorado won. Let's play them, right? I think they get stifled today, and they stub their toe again. Kings win 4-2, 3-1 ish. It's not that I don't want any part of Colorado. That's not it. If this makes any sense, from not wanting a part of Colorado to I'm just not choosing to play anybody from Colorado tonight. I'm going all in on the Los Angeles one line tonight, and hopefully it pans out. If it does, I look like a genius. If not, people forget, and we redo the video tomorrow.
That's why it's called daily fantasy sports, man.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of daily fantasy sports. You do the research. Actually, we do the research, you can do the winning, but we do the research, and from a day in and day out basis, we reset the clock. Once lineups lock, we move on till tomorrow. So the reason I was talking about stubbing their toe, I mean, if you go back really, to the end of February, they played 2 close games. That's Colorado I'm talking about. A 3-2 game against the 3-2 back-to-back 3-2 games. Then they get in a 2-1 game against your Red Wings, which was a chalky spot, and we all thought, man, really good spot for Colorado. And they do win that game 2-1. Then they lose to Anaheim. They get the doors blown off them by the Canucks. And then, yesterday they win 4-3 at San Jose. I know yesterday you really liked San Jose. I know that because I believe they were on the thumbnail for Hot Fucking Stacks.
Yes.
And then we were just talking about this with Toronto when you had said this was a trap game for Toronto to go into San Jose. They struggled at San Jose. I want to say they were like 1 in their last 8, 1 in 7 of the last 8 games against San Jose going into that one, and they clearly laid an egg. Toronto struggled with California teams. And in that game, the announcer was talking about, the West Coast California trip hasn't been the gauntlet it's been in years past, and all of a sudden, the last week and a half, it has been.
And that's basically what I've used to run with some of my players in some of my stacks here. Colorado's in LA. Don't want to repeat that, but again, I'm not some psychic or guru of hockey on the West Coast. I just go by what I see, and I trust my gut, and I trust numbers and the research. And as it stands right now, it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to write about when teams go to LA or they go to San Jose, and you look at it, you dig in, you get a little deeper, and you see what you just said. teams are struggling out there. So let's run with it. And you never know. Before you know it, you got a little bit of a following of people who agree with you. And everything has just been based off just like my heart or a gut decision. You know what I mean? So one thing I learned years ago early on when I was playing any sort of fantasy sports, whether it was seasonal or DFS, if you're not having fun, what's the point, right? But again, that's kind of strange because we're dealing with real money, but we have that option of we don't have to remortgage our house if we don't want to. Everything should be fun. Everything we tell you, everything I write, it all comes from a good place. It's all fun, lighthearted stuff. So try not to take it too serious. Let's have some fun. Let's stack some teams we don't think will win every once in a while, and it'll pan out. Don't have to be so serious all the time.
It's also called being contrarian. But just to close this out, this game, these two teams just played each other on the 22nd of February. This was right before the Kings went on this win streak. Colorado did win 2-1. And then LA goes on to beat the Penguins 2-1. They beat the Devils 2-1. They put a spanking on Vegas 4-1 in a spot that, we were on Vegas that night. And then Toronto ends their struggles in a 1-0 loss to the Kings. And then Saturday, they put 7 goals up all over Minnesota. So they got all over Minnesota. So I love this play tonight. I think that we ride this momentum. And like you said, all streaks eventually come to an end, but it's like a shooter in basketball. When a shooter's hot, load them up. Yes. Shooters only get hot for so long. Ride the wave. I like to call on the Kings tonight.
Thank you. And I look forward to being back tomorrow, and we'll do it all over again.
That leads me right into that. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Morning Skate. Until then, make sure you go to dfscheatsheet.com. Check out both articles that we have up. One is Hot Pucking Stacks, covers all of the stacks that we're stacking in our lineups tonight. The other is In the Net, gives you a cash game goalie and 3 GPP plays, and our NHL cash game lineup as well. So we'll be back tomorrow. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button below so you don't miss any of our content that we produce on a daily basis. Until then, be cool, keep it cashing. Peace out.